With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin. It is Thursday, November 3rd, and Town Council meets this evening at 7 o'clock. Joining me to preview what the Council will be talking about, I welcome Interim Town Manager Tom Lynch. Tom, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Sarah. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm going to start off, though, with an update on the Municipal Insurance Health Reform Bill workshop. What can you tell me about that portion of the meeting?
There are going to be some choices that the Town Council is going to make later on in this year or early next year. And what the Council President, Fred Chirigotis, suggested was that we give a brief update as to what the working group has been doing to get us to position ourselves on the implementation of this law. So what will happen is Mark Milne, as our Finance Director, will do the salient points, important points of the law. Deb Blanchett, who's our treasurer and also representative to the Cape Cod Municipal Health Group, will talk about what the actions they've taken to try to put together various healthcare packages and what that would mean to employees who are currently getting health services. And then Bill Cole, who's our Human Resources Director, will look at the implementation of the law. And this is meant not to be an in-depth workshop, but clearly cover those three areas so councils can see where we're going and what the choices that we'll need to make.
Sure, and what kind of an impact it could potentially have on municipal employees here in the town of Barnstable.
Exactly, and because it comes into a negotiating session, there are set timelines, so they'll know what those timelines are. And we've got a deadline of getting to the open enrollment period, which is where we all get to choose which plan we might be going into, and we want to know what those plans are going to look like and what the cost will be of those plans.
Right. It really seems like as the years go by, the health insurance plans get more and more complicated, so really staying on top of it quite important.
It is, and the legislature tried to give a tool so that municipalities could control healthcare costs, and quite frankly, we've been doing a very good job of that here in Barnstable. And also at the county Cape Cod Municipal Health Care Group. But there are some towns that, they're on their own out there. They've got plans that, maybe just a single plan. So there are options to join the Group Insurance Commission at the state level. We'd naturally compare those two plans to see whether local option plans are better than statewide plans.
Sure. And moving on from the Health Insurance Reform Bill workshop, there's also a workshop on the tax factor.
Jeff Rinziak will try to very succinctly explain to people, what the rate will be as it relates to residential tax and commercial, taxation, and explain what the options will be on that. We'll look at whether or not there should be a that's the council's decision whether or not there should be a residential exemption, but explain the impact of a residential exemption, which they have voted on in the past, and also look at a small business exemption should they choose that. And he'll present the information he has now, and then come the November 17th meeting, they'll add these three items they'll have their first reading tonight, and then the three items will be on for, again, a public hearing where anyone can speak to them, and there'll be all the updated financial information, and the councils will make their decision then.
Sure, and that's good to know. And of course, on this morning's Barnstable this morning, we talked with our Finance Director, Mark Milne, and he explained a little bit more about the tax factor and how it impacts residents and businesses. So I think if our viewers want to learn more, they can refer back to this morning's Barnstable this morning with Mark Milne.
Very good.
So a couple of other agenda items really just dealing with taxes and the tax levy. Now that, from what I understand, ties into that workshop discussion that's going to take place earlier in the meeting.
That's right. And they'll all be read for first reading and then go on. There's also an amendment on the water board, which I think because of availability for the chair may be also pushed off to the 17th. And then viewers may note that on the agenda there's some fee changes that are coming forth from regulatory services. There are some fee changes that need to go through the council. And then there'll be others that I have to hold public hearings on. So we'll be doing both of those over the next couple of months.
Also on the agenda, Tom, is Town Manager Communications. So talk to me a little bit about what you're going to be discussing tonight.
Well, I'll also tell them give them an update on the work at the flooring at the HYCC where we had the flood. I'll talk about and actually might put in a little extra thing there with Mark talking about the free cash certification and also the award that they got that I understand you also talked about on Barnstable this morning from the Government Finance Officers Association, a very prestigious Distinguished Budgeting Award, and I'm very pleased with the Finance Department for all that they do to make that happen. We will be opening the landfill starting today for the next 4 days if people want to take debris from the storm, so I'll just update councils to that. And then I will want to talk about the whole Veterans Day, which I'm sure we'll get into next week, but there are going to be some very meaningful services go on, both here at the Village Green, down at Veterans Park, and over at the high school for fallen Navy SEAL Kevin Houston. So I'll update them on some of those happenings that have been going on during the past couple of weeks since the last meeting.
Sure, really, the town always does a great job really remembering our veterans and honoring our veterans on Veterans Day, which of course is next Friday, and we will definitely be talking a little bit more as we get into next week about those things. Just want to go back, Tom, you mentioned the award that Mark Milne and the budget team received. Yes. Tell me what this says to you about the financial strength of the town of Barnstable.
Well, it says, first of all, that the document we put together communicates well all that we do. So it talks about the policies we have, it talks about, the financing, how we implement all of that. I believe there are something like 16 different categories that they go over, and it's a national award. And for folks who really want to know, we always talk about the budget being the most important ordinance that we pass each year because of all the priorities that are in there and the funding priorities. If one takes the time to go through that budget package, it's laid out very nicely as to long-term forecasts, what was spent last year, what's spent this year, and all the income and expenses. So I think the way it's just presented, the clarity with which Mark Milne and his team tries to do that is recognized on a national level as being something that is thorough, transparent, and available to the citizenry. So I'm proud that they get that sort of recognition, because sometimes numbers are just that. They're on a piece of paper, and it doesn't translate out into the world the way some other activities that we do, because it's not as visible. But they're clearly working hard every day, trying to consolidate expenses and keep costs down, and the council, of course, does a thorough review of that, and they're a player in this also because they help. They should take great pride in the fact that our finance department is recognized nationally.
Well, really, congratulations to the team. Good work by them, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit. I know that we heard yesterday that the HYCC gym floor is going to be replaced. The work is going to start on that very soon, and they're hoping to wrap that up by November 28th.
Well, I think the good news is that we're already in there working.
Excellent.
The week after the town council meeting, when councils were saying, what will the schedule be, we were actually in there working on the floor the following week. Unfortunately, there will be some disruption to some of the existing services we have there. So I think starting after the election, they will be closing the gym for the walking track as well as any activities, because there's a lot of dust and a lot of sanding and cutting and all that needs to be done. Then it needs a thorough cleaning, because any of the dust that's in there, once you put down the finish on the floor, it'll show up. So you get a bubbling, and that actually happened the first go around, and we rejected the flooring, and it had to be redone. This is 2 years ago, before we even opened. So we'll have the same sort of scrutiny on this. While we want to push for it, we also want a surface that's going to last for a good long time.
Well, the one last thing I do want to mention is a good public service announcement is that the transfer station is accepting storm debris, just as they did after tropical storm, Irene.
Right, it's for our residents, and we didn't. I think one thing that Irene did is it did a lot of clearing, so we don't have the amount of debris that you see by the side of the roads and all that. But many homeowners have said to us, "Gee, we'd like to be able to bring it over again." And open burning doesn't start until later in the year. Some residents, leave for warmer environs. So this gives folks a chance to do their cleaning, get it over there, and we'll chip it and perhaps use it in some other way. So.
Exactly. Well, Tom, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to talk with you.
Very good. I hope we have a good meeting tonight, and you'll be reporting on it tomorrow, I'm sure.
We will indeed. We will indeed. Again, Town Council meets tonight at 7 p.m. Right here at Town Hall in the second floor hearing room. You can also catch that live on Channel 18, again, starting at 7 p.m. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.